Let me give you all a peek behind the curtain into my creative process when it comes to planning for and writing each episode. I'm constantly jotting down ideas, either in a notebook or on my phone in Google Docs. It may be a part of a conversation I had with someone, or part of a conversation I overheard from someone else. Or it might just be a random thought. Whatever the case may be, if I deem it noteworthy, it gets written down. Then, when it's time to plan for an episode, I do one of two things. I'll either check my notes, pick one of the ideas to expand upon, and then search for a movie that I can misinterpret to fit the topic. Or I'll pick the movie first, watch it, and spend some time thinking about it to see if I can make something out of it. The show scripts are pretty time consuming, but the words usually flow for me pretty easily because for each episode, I'm either passionate about the topic or passionate about the movie. And I like to think that this shows through in the finished product. Conversely, there have been times where I backed myself into a corner and had to do an episode where I wasn't super passionate about the topic or the movie. And I think that shows through in the finished product as well. Those episodes are so hard to finish. Those are the times when this whole podcasting thing feels less like conversations with friends and more like a job. But then there are times like today, like this topic, and like this movie. Oh boy, this movie. And oh my God, this topic. Yeah, sometimes there are days like today where I am passionate about both the topic and the movie. Today, we're gonna talk about swingin' splooge moose, metallic meat cudgel, gratuitous goo blaster, and robots, giant robots. That's right, today's topic, toxic masculinity. And we're gonna address it by analyzing one of my all-time favorite films. On this episode, we're gonna misinterpret Robot Jocks. Now let's hit it.
All the movies we're misinterpreting. That's alright, that's okay. You're really smart, and that's fair play. Misinterpreting.
Okay, I would like to announce that I would like to announce the triumphant return of the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated. It is Joe. Joe, say hi.
Joe's working the podcast go burr.
Wow. Are you trying to get back the hood pass that you lost a couple episodes ago?
No, I love the fact that you're going and just like you're detailing your process and how you write stuff, and I'm just giving the people the actual thing that I do,
Which is
just get on.
I love it.
Get on the podcast and go burr. And that's it.
I mean, personally, I love it, and I'm glad you're back. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. I really do have to hand it to Hannah for filling in for me. I used my my suspension time wisely. Read some books, kind of got to understand myself a little bit more.
Okay, people are gonna think that I actually suspended you from the podcast and made a diversity hire. That's fine. If they want to think that, that's okay. I'm okay with it. So, thank you for coming back from your suspension. I hope you learned. I hope you took the time to think about what you did wrong.
I've learned nothing.
as expected. But also, I want to tell everyone about not just the time that you weren't here, but the extra time that we took off and kind of why that happened.
Okay, see what happened was...
It was not Joe's fault at all. Although I would love to use him as a scapegoat and blame him for this. But,
Joe was ready. Joe was prepared. Joe was waiting patiently.
And I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. So it's 100% my fault for a couple reasons.
Say it again.
It was
Say that again.
100% my fault.
All right, put your chest into it this time.
It was 100% my fault, Blue. I say it with my chest. Sorry. Had to put some extra bass in my voice. 100% my fault for a couple reasons. One reason was I got so excited about this movie that
Yes, you did.
I got way too excited about it, and I started writing a script for it, and the script got super detailed. And I'm sitting there, and it's almost basically it's almost deadline time. It's almost time to record, and I'm like, I don't have enough done that I feel comfortable with recording. So I asked Joe if we could push back the recording a couple of days, and he said that's fine. And then he gave me his times that he'll be able to record. And I just thought that with the times that he was available, we wouldn't be able to get the podcast to a point where it will be something that I would be comfortable putting out. And I've been wanting to do this movie for so long that I wanted to give it full attention, and I wanted to give it the attention it deserved. And thing number 2, I got my first COVID vaccine.
Woo!
Yeah. If I had a round of applause, I'd play it right now, but I don't have it. But I have this. That's close enough. I got my first COVID shot and felt some side effects, and that put me down for 2 more days.
From the first shot.
And it was a combination.
Oh, no.
Well, okay, so it was pretty minor. The effects that I felt were pretty minor. It was just a lot of fatigue. I didn't feel like doing anything, and I just felt run down. All I wanted to do was just lie on the couch and not move or do anything. And there was
basically how I feel every day.
Yeah. So you'll be fine.
Okay,
well,
good.
It was
nothing will change. Nothing at all.
And it was beautiful. I just wanted to go for a walk or something. I couldn't do it. So, and then there was not only that, but there was also my allergies at the same time. So it was like a double whammy, and I just didn't feel like doing anything, so I didn't. But here we are, and now I think we're ready. But that was my time away from the podcast. Joe, how was your time away from the podcast?
I'm trying to think of what I can actually say for my time away from the podcast.
You can say anything.
What did I do? I played a bunch of Call of Duty that night. That's one thing I did.
I should get into Call of Duty. I really should.
See, you keep saying that, and then Chris is gonna listen to this, and he's gonna be like, "There's no excuse. Go ahead and get on."
You know what I should do is I should stream it. I should figure out a way to stream us playing, and having you guys coach me through how to play Call of Duty.
Oh no!
Oh yeah. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know.
I mean, it would be fun. I just don't know if I need everyone to see how bad I am. And I'm not horrible. I'm not as good as I would like to be. I am not complete garbage. I am just like the top layer of garbage where someone just threw like the wrapper from like a burger on there.
Okay.
Even a wrapper is like doesn't have much on there, but I'm still in the garbage technically.
So you're the wrapper, and I'm like the juice that settles at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm garbage juice.
Yeah, you're garbage juice. I'm just that last layer, just like, okay, fine. I guess we have to throw it out now.
But you're still trash. You're just like
still trash.
If you accidentally drop something in your part of the garbage, you can still take it out and eat it and be fine.
After this past year and this pandemic, I don't know if that can be said ever again.
I take that back. So if you drop a box in the trash with the oven instructions on it, you can take the box out.
Oh yeah,
and see what
yes.
You would reach your hand in there and be okay.
Exactly. Okay.
Got it.
That makes that's it. And of course, you never do it once. You do it at least like 3 times because for whatever reason you keep forgetting.
You know what? There's this frozen pizza that I eat all the time, and it's one brand, and I get it repeatedly, and I eat it so much that and my memory's so bad that I actually cut out the instructions on the back of the box and taped it to my refrigerator so that whenever I throw the box away, I can just look at the refrigerator and see it right there.
That's being smart. That's just using your head. That's a genius idea.
It's being smart enough to know how dumb I am.
Which is still being smart. Being smart enough to compensate for your weaknesses.
I like that. Smart. Thank you for making me feel better about myself. So,
you know what? No, I do enough of that at my other job. Fuck that. I take that back. Fuck you.
You know what's funny? I do that too. I do the same thing.
So it's I don't remember if I told you. We're not naming the place, of course. If you know, you know, and whatever. But I think I told you about the letter or someone had sent in wrote in about how I was so nice and
kind. Yeah. You did. Yeah.
And it's been a source of just ridicule because everyone's like, oh, look, you're so helpful and you're so nice. And I'm constantly telling everyone to shut the fuck up. And so it's become a thing now where they're just like, oh, you just don't like compliments. I'm like, yeah, I don't need it.
It's like, just be happy. Don't tell me how much you appreciate me. Just appreciate me and go.
Like if I did something nice for someone and someone says thank you and everything, that does make me feel good. Mm-hmm. But the more people keep bringing up, I'm just like, stop, shut up. So it's gotten to the point where people are just like aggressively nice to me at work to troll me.
The funny thing about that is where you and I like go on divergent paths here, because not only do I like compliments, I demand compliments to the point where people tell me to shut up because they're tired of complimenting me on things. And whenever a customer compliments me on something, all the other people are like, oh God, why did you say that? We're gonna have to hear about that for a month now because you said something nice about him.
See, that was I wrote on the memo because it had been up there for like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I was like, thanks, I hate it. I literally wrote it on there, and then it was still up like at least a week, or maybe it was another 2 weeks after that. I literally turned it around and pinned it back up just so no one could see it.
I am going to send the nicest email under a false name that just praises you so much and says all the nice things about you so that it can get posted on the fridge.
No, please no, because they won't let me live it down. I swear. So there's a term, I guess, for what I am. Mm-hmm. I guess I begrudgingly take it. It's a term in anime called a tsundere, and it's basically someone who doesn't like to show how they really are. So they could be, I guess, a nice person or whatever, kind or caring, but they'd rather be seen as asshole or just come off as asshole.
So you're just a complete mystery then.
Pretty much. Like I care about my friends, mm-hmm. and I'm thinking about one friend in particular who was just like, oh yeah, if she needed something, I'll help her out. We've had conversations. I'm actually, for the project that I'm working on, I'm going to have her on. But I also, every time I think back to what I did to her this one time, because when we were working together at this one job, she was thinking about the FedEx delivery truck. And she was like, oh, should I go outside and wait for them? And I was like, yes, you should. She waited a whole 5 minutes outside while I continued to cackle inside because I thought it was the funniest thing.
On the list of bad things you can do, that's not the worst.
No, I'm not saying like I would murder someone, but I'm not above like having the people. Okay. I feel like I may have told this story before.
Okay.
Or I've told it to a few people. I don't know if I've told it on the podcast. One thing me and my girlfriend like to do, which we haven't done in a while, is have Nerf gun fights. Mm-hmm. Like, that's huge fun. Like, literally, we'll go out and buy, like, Nerf guns. We have, like, a collection of Nerf guns.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous to shoot each other with. And it is so much fun. But we were in the middle of a Nerf gun fight, and I had an idea. So what I did was grab my phone when she wasn't looking, called her phone from my phone, and as her phone was ringing, I was like, oh, babe, I think someone's calling your phone. She stops, she grabs her phone, looks at her phone to see who's calling, sees that it's me, and as soon as she looks up, I unleash holy hell.
I imagine this happening in slow motion. Like her turning around going, oh no. And you just fire when the guns in slow motion, like the last scene in Boys in the Hood, where he's like, Ricky! Even worse than that betrayal, we had a friend in our friend group who was leaving. Mm-hmm. She was moving away, mm-hmm. and we all went to go help her move and pack up the truck and everything. So as we were saying our final goodbye, I had came up with this idea to just pelt her with Nerf guns, because why the hell not? Why not?
So we were trying to figure out how to do it. I decided I would do it slightly kind of mafia style, where I would go up, pretend to be really emotional, give her a big hug, which is what I did, as I had like a little Nerf gun in the back of my jeans. And literally, as I was pulling away, I grabbed it real quick and said, "Hail Hydra." And then we all shot her.
That is amazing.
To which she's just like, the betrayal was the worst.
Can't even be mad about that though. Like,
No, she wasn't mad, but she was just like, I literally was just like, wait, what? And
I would have been like, wow, quite a betrayal. Respect.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm sure at some point she's gonna get me back, but yeah.
Hail Hydra. That is amazing. Before we get into
this means don't be friends with me. I may care about you. I may check on you. I may bring you soup when you're sick, but I will do something crappy to you eventually.
But as we've learned, Joe will lie. Joe will lie about the fact that he's an awful human being and he's just an amazing person. And I wish we could tell everyone where this place is that shall not be named so that everyone could mail in kind words.
The fact that you're saying this right now makes me want to throw something at you.
Oh man, you're gonna.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
No, I'm not. I won't. Not yet, but I have a plan.
What do you mean?
But
I don't like this. What's your plan?
I have a plan, and I need to write it down so I don't forget. But you're gonna hate it. But I think before we get into the next part of this podcast where we do the misinterpretation and everything, I just want to say that this episode is going to be a lot less depressing than the last two.
Thank fucking God.
Now that
shit.
we've got that out of the way, now mind you, we're going to talk about a topic that's, toxic masculinity it can be pretty terrible for everyone involved. And, I don't want us to shy away from talking about it, but I don't want us to go into full-on 100% depression mode like we did for the last 2 episodes.
Well, I figure that we're basically going to treat toxic masculinity like we both have socks full of quarters and just beat the holy hell out of it.
Oh yeah.
So.
For sure. And we're gonna do that with the movie Robot Jocks, which
I have no idea. Okay, I know about it now because you told me about it. Even my girlfriend says, "Oh, I think I've heard of that," and I'm like, "How have I not?"
Okay, you know who else has heard of this movie?
Who?
My entire family, and I'm gonna tell you why. They might not remember it. So this is one of my first memories as a kid, right?
Okay.
I remember seeing this movie, and I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but there were these giant robots fighting each other. That's all I remember is there were giant robot fights. And I remember the name of the movie was Robot Jocks. Giant robots, Robot Jocks. That's all I remembered. Now, my family and I, when I was a kid, we would go to the video store every week, and we would rent movies. And my parents would rent a movie, and they would let us, it was me, my brother, my sister, and my brother. My sister is the middle, my brother is the oldest. I was the youngest. Mm-hmm. We would get to pick which movie we wanted to watch for all 3 of us. And every week, we would rotate who got to rent the movies. And every time it was my turn, I would ask to rent Robot Jocks. They would never let me. My brother and my sister would overrule me because they said the movie was terrible. And my track record of picking movies, by the way, was really bad. I remember once I picked that Vanilla Ice movie, Cool as Ice. My movie picking track record was not great, so I understand.
Yeah, you're a little sus right now.
Oh, if you think I'm a little sus right now, wait until you hear this description of this movie. Or my analysis of it. But that's coming up in a couple minutes. But I always wanted to watch Robot Jocks, and I never could. No one would ever rent this. My brother and sister would never allow me to rent this movie. Eventually, I grew up, forgot about it, until I had this idea for this podcast, and I immediately went to look for Robot Jocks on all streaming services. I couldn't find it. It wasn't on iTunes, wasn't on Netflix, wasn't on anything. So
there's a reason for that.
So I went to Amazon to look for it, and I went to Amazon and eBay, the only thing I could find were VHS tapes for like $200 because apparently this is a collector's item. And I said, you know what? I'm not paying $200 to watch Robot Jocks.
Oh,
I'm just not doing
thank
it.
fucking God. Oh, you had me so scared for a moment.
I mean, maybe if I had money to spare, I would do that. But I got so excited because I jump on to Amazon Prime, and what do I see on the front page? Robot Jocks, streaming on Amazon Prime. So, of course, I had to watch it. This was my chance to fulfill a childhood dream of mine. And
Which normally I would say is a good thing, but...
let me just say that I watched it and I still appreciate, like, it's still one of my all-time favorite movies just because of what it meant to me at the time. Even though I don't remember anything about it, it's still one of my all-time favorite movies. After watching it, it is hilariously bad. It is so bad, and it's that to me, it's funny, and I enjoyed every second of it.
Now, what level of bad are we talking about? Like, can you give me some kind of example? Or something I can compare it to?
I don't even know what you can compare it to. I honestly don't know what you can compare it to because it's not that it's bad, like the special effects are bad. The special effects are actually pretty good. It's just bad where it's really cheesy and campy and super predictable. So like everything that's going to happen except maybe the ending. The ending caught me off guard. But you kind of know what's going to happen. You know where it's going. You know what they're trying to do. And it's really sexist, but what movie from the 80s and 90s wasn't?
Oh, please. I have a whole thing about Revenge of the Nerds now.
Ooh.
Where I'm just like,
save that, and then we're going to do that for another episode.
Oh, God.
So
I don't know if I'm ready to do this.
Don't save that. I'm going to write that in a note for us so that we don't forget. Let me type it on my computer here.
Yeah, that's a reckoning I had where it finally hit me one day, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Is it kind of like going back and listening to music like we talked about before, where you're like, wow, this is problematic. I didn't realize this.
Yes, and it's something I identified with so hard.
Yep.
So hard that I watched all of the movies, even including the TV movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I told you before, Three's Company. Have you ever watched any episodes of Three's Company recently?
Not recently. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
When I don't remember what age I was when I would just watch that. I would stay up until, so it would come on really late at night, and they would show just reruns of old TV shows. And from I think it would come on at 2:00, 2:30, and 3:00 in the morning. And
why'd you do that? You could have just watched Nick at Night, and they had that on much earlier.
Oh no, they never had Three's Company on Nick at Night. I don't think. But
maybe not.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it was pretty late, but they showed this on Fox. They would show.
Oh yeah, I remember that time slot.
And this was over the summer when I was a kid, and I would watch all 3 episodes. I would stay up this late and watch all 3 episodes, and then go to bed after it was over and just sleep in all day because I was a kid. And I loved this show. I've seen probably every single episode of the show like multiple times, and I just loved it. And it's just. It was one of the formative, like it helped, it set my ideas about comedy and my sense of humor and all that. It's awful. It is the most problematic show in the world. And I related to it so much when I was a kid. And I'm looking back at it going, oh my goodness, how did I not see this as a problem? Any of this as a problem. Thank goodness I grew and
Try watching Duckman as a kid and realize
that was another show that I liked a lot that I haven't seen since I was a kid.
I don't know if we should ever go back and revisit that. Like, I'm sure there may be a couple good things about it, but I feel just no. That rock, it needs to just be left underneath that rock.
I'm gonna write that as well because I think.
Oh God.
I think that we should do an episode where we just go back and so maybe make it a bonus episode where we go back and just talk about all the problematic shows that we watch.
Oh God.
And talk about why they're so problematic. But also, there's another thing that we're going to do a little bit differently. You guys probably, I probably could have just done this and not told you. You never would have known. But the
But
misinterpret,
that would imply no consent.
which there's a lot of in this movie. Not a lot of consent, but a lot of not giving consent and people doing things anyway. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you went full Tina Belcher on that. But so what's going to happen is we're going to cut away here and we're going to do the misinterpretation. The misinterpretation is I'm going to pre-record it beforehand, and when I cut away, Joe's going to listen to it for the first time, and then we're going to do the old misinterpretation from there, and we'll talk about what I just talked about. So I tell you that because during this little misinterpretation here, you won't hear the usual comments from Joe because this is pre-recorded, so he wasn't here to give comments, unfortunately, but he can save them up and give them all when this is all done. Joe, sound good?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, let's get to it. And Joe, feel free to, while I'm playing this for you now, feel free to talk over it and talk to me or ask me to pause it because this isn't, I'm just going to cut away and then we're going to come back and no one's ever going to know any different. All right.
Except that you just told them all of your secret plans.
I did. I love being transparent. All right. So let's make this seem like it's smooth and it's happening in real time. Here we go with the misinterpretation. We slow pan from left to right. Ground level on a snow-covered landscape. Charred foliage in the background, broken off robot parts in the foreground. We hear faint explosions far off in the distance. As the camera continues to move and more of the scene reveals itself, a narrator speaks via voiceover, explaining the details of the world we're about to spend the next hour and a half observing. It is 50 years since the nuclear holocaust almost destroyed mankind. War is now outlawed. More burned trees, more robot parts, more explosions. The narrator continues speaking. And all territorial disputes between the two great alliances are settled by single combat. Here at the Confederation playing field in Siberia, a battle rages between two gigantic fighting machines piloted by their nation's champions, the robot jocks. As soon as he finishes his sentence, a light flashes on screen and an enormous metal penis falls from the sky and crashes onto the ground. Well, it's not actually a penis. I played the scene, replayed it, paused it, replayed it, and paused one more time. It's actually a metal robot hand. But it could have been a penis, or at least a reference to one. And actually, the same thing could be said for the rest of this movie too. The references to penises and the things that those penises could theoretically do with or without, but mostly without, consent are countless. No, actually that's not true either. They're very countable, and I'll prove it by counting them. I'm going to keep count of every single bit of innuendo with something I like to call the ding dong ding dong. That's right, every single time we get any bit of innuendo, including phallic images or problematic dialogue, I am going to press this button. And at the end of this analysis, we'll tally them up and see how many we've got. Unless you think I'm being ridiculous, and before you say to yourself, bro, pause, I'd like to present you with Exhibit A. The Apple TV description of this movie, which reads, in part, quote, "This thrilling sci-fi adventure will satisfy your burning desire for robot-on-robot action," end quote. Yeah, so clearly I'm not the only one who picked up on the sexual tension in Robot Jocks. And one of this movie's original taglines, appearing on a poster, is, "Two men, two machines, too wild." I don't know, sounds like an OnlyFans description to me. So that's number one. Anyway, back to the movie, where, as the narrator explained, a battle rages between two gigantic fighting machines piloted by their nation's champions, the robot jocks. This battle is already pretty much over, as one of the jocks climbs out of his mangled wreckage of what used to be his robot. He looks above and begs for mercy as his victorious opponent approaches. The winner's name is Alexander, and he's one of the film's villains. And since this is an action film from the 1980s, he's extremely Russian. After officially being declared the victor, and with his defeated opponent begging for mercy, Alexander lifts his robot foot high into the air and brings it down on him, crushing him, killing him. The dead man's name is Charles Virgil Peck, fighting name Hercules. Peck was one of the last 2 robot jocks left alive. Apparently, Alexander had killed 9 other robot jocks in a row. Now there is only one left, a man named Achilles, who we meet in the very next scene, where members of the losing side are engaged in a heated argument about who exactly is responsible for the defeat. There's Dr. Matsumoto and Commissioner Jameson, who gets into a shouting match with a brash confrontational cowboy hat wearing Texan who goes by the name of Tex. By the way, Tex is a spy. He's working for the Russians. Now, this is a major plot point and it isn't revealed until the end of the movie, but it's fairly obvious early on and I'm not going to address it later, so I might as well just tell you now. Tex is a bad guy. Okay? Moving on. This is where Robot Jocks delivers one of several wonderfully awful lines of dialogue. Tex tells Jameson that Achilles should have been the one who took the fight because Achilles wouldn't have lost. Jameson tells Tex that they're saving Achilles so they can use him in an upcoming battle for Alaska, which they cannot, under any circumstances, let fall into the hands of the Confederation. They cannot allow the Confederation to occupy 1 square inch of American soil. To which Tex responds, "Soil is just dirt." Tex also questions whether or not Alaska is even a big deal. Jameson stares directly into his eyes and says, while sneaking a glance at his crotch region, "It is big." Next, we cut to a room full of American soldiers? Yeah, let's call them soldiers, engaged in hand-to-hand combat training. Achilles is here, and he's actually the only human soldier in the room. The rest of them are genetically engineered soldiers, manufactured people, or gen jocks. They were created for one purpose: to be elite fighters. Although, you wouldn't be able to tell that by looking at the fight choreography in this scene, or any scene really. A buzzer sounds and all the men attack Achilles, or at least they try to. It's a real gangbang, and not in the Bloods versus Crips kind of way, no. More like in a one dude takes a pounding from 9 other men kind of way. But Achilles handles them all with no problem. After single-handedly besting everyone in combat training, Achilles has a conversation with Tex, where they both notice that one of the gen jocks is a woman. Her name is Athena, and later on in the film, she plays a pivotal role. Sort of. Anyway, Achilles is surprised to see that a woman is in the room doing man things. She scowls at Achilles, her nipples poking through her barely there post-apocalyptic lycra gen jocks onesie, and Achilles smirks back at her while giving her the old elevator eyes. He throws his sweaty towel at her face and she catches it and keeps it. Achilles remarks that she ain't too hard to look at, and look at her he does, staring at her butt as she walks away. Tex responds by leaning in close to Achilles and reminding him that pursuing a woman is probably a bad idea by saying, "Ooh, cold fish." Professor Laplace enters the scene, giving Achilles and Tex small empty specimen cups and tells them that she would appreciate it if they would provide her with raw material. She is, of course, talking about sperm. Since Tex and Achilles are the 2 most famous jocks, Professor Laplace is going to use their DNA to breed new, superior warriors. Tex and Achilles make a toast to that, tapping the tips of their cum cups and chuckling at the thought of it. "You ain't using my DNA to make no tubies," Tex says, using his gen joxophobic slur of choice. Achilles asks if they could just skip the middleman and just make a direct deposit. He motions towards Athena, implying, well, that he wants to commit sexual assault. I mean, there's really no other way to read into that. The men in the room have a good old-fashioned chuckle at their rape joke. The scene ends with Athena taking the sweaty towel that she was apparently still holding for some reason and throwing it at the back of Achilles' head. The next scene shows all the gen jocks gathered in a room, watching Achilles prepare for his next battle. This is the Battle of Alaska that was mentioned earlier. There are a couple of noteworthy things that happen in this scene, one of which is an obvious tip-off to the most predictable plot twist ever, that Tex is a spy, but something else happened here, and it's only a brief moment, but it's significant. The gen jocks crowd around the screen, observing the process of Achilles being fitted into his battle suit and the suit being calibrated to his robot. At one point, Achilles starts shadowboxing. Athena, studying his movements, feels a stirring in her loins. She smiles at the screen, and it looks like she's starting to feel feelings for the tough guy robot jock who threw a sweaty towel in her face and offered to inject semen into her non-consenting body, because who can resist such masculine charm? Alexander, the villainous American stomping Russian from the opening scene, makes another appearance via a pre-recorded video message being played on a news report. Achilles! I have already killed you, right here, Alexander says while pointing toward his evil Russian brain. And at this point, we're 10 minutes into the movie, and all of the important plot points have been established, so let's review. Alexander killed an American in the opening scene. That American was one of the last 2 robot jocks alive. Achilles is the very last one, and it's his turn to fight Alexander in a battle that will determine which nation is granted control over the territory of Alaska, which is, quote, rich in mineral wealth, oil, lumber, and other precious natural resources, end quote. Oh, and everyone kinda hates women. Achilles makes his way through a set of sliding doors, walking toward the camera while, in the foreground, a man yanks on a thick, girthy fire hose. Achilles enters the robot cockpit, and a platform lifts the enormous machine to ground level like a giant phallus emerging from a pair of pleated khaki pants. Here he comes, says one of the workers on the platform. As Achilles slowly comes, the crowd goes wild. That's right, there's a crowd. Let me explain the scene to you. Okay, the battlefield is in the middle of a desert, Death Valley to be exact. It's the perfect location too, because at the far ends of the battlefield, you've got 2 robots, one piloted by Achilles and the other by Alexander, standing hundreds of feet tall, and they're about to smash each other. You wouldn't want this fight to occur in a heavily populated area because the chance of collateral damage and civilian death would be almost 100%. This makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the fact that there are bleachers on both sides of the battlefield where fans have gathered to watch the battle up close and cheer on their preferred nation's robot. They get to view the action up close and personal while these machines punch each other and fire rockets at one another. You can probably guess what happens next. And one more thing I didn't mention. The crowd mostly favors Achilles, whom they all hail as a hero. And Achilles is arrogantly overconfident. Yeah, so you should definitely know what happens next. At one point in the battle, Alexander fires a rocket robot fist towards Achilles, but the projectile goes out of control and heads right for the bleachers. Achilles tries to save the crowd by stepping in front of the flying fist, but when the fist hits him, it sends him toppling over backwards onto the bleachers, crushing and killing over 300 innocent bystanders who, not to victim blame, probably shouldn't have put themselves in that position in the first place. But since Achilles got fisted, then one would assume that Alexander would be declared the victor. But as it turns out, Alexander's flying fist was in violation of a rule that states that nothing classified as a long-range weapon may be employed during the final hand-to-hand combat period. The battle is ruled a draw. The Russians and Americans are going to have to fight again in a battle that is to take place after 1 week. Except, after accidentally killing over 300 people, Achilles refuses to fight again. To the shock of everyone, Achilles announces that he is retiring from fighting. One of the Gen Jocks is going to have to take his place. Now, there isn't much worth mentioning in the following scenes except some real high-quality dialogue, such as, "I can't read, but I'm not dumb," and "The law says I cannot serve anyone who is drunk, and you've got to admit, you are one drunk guy." Anyway, Achilles gets blackout drunk and wakes up to find himself sprawled out on his back in his own bed, completely naked. At the edge of his bed, a fully clothed Athena stares longingly at his meat and takes a deep breath as if she just recovered from a massive orgasm. Achilles covers his Jurassic pork with a blanket and asks Athena if they had sex last night. Athena says no, she simply carried him home and undressed him and studied his body. Achilles pulls back the blanket to sneak a look at his stinky pickle. Achilles asks if coffee will stunt his growth. Achilles asks why she was studying his anatomy. Athena glances down at his ground squirrel and says she just wanted to see if he was different. And by different, she means she wanted to see if he was different for being a champion. Yeah, I'm not sure what she means by that either. I'm just telling you what happened in the movie, man. But, she tells him, her eyes once again dropping to lock onto his Ford Mustang, "There's nothing special about your body." Also in this scene, Athena berates Achilles for refusing to fight Alexander. See, Athena looks up to Achilles, views him as a hero, and his refusal to fight angers her. He chooses to not tell her, or anyone else for that matter, his real reason for not fighting. He was deeply affected by killing over 300 people who also looked up to him, who he had tried to protect. Athena calls him a coward and storms out of the room. But Athena has a plan. If Achilles won't fight Alexander, then she will. She'll suit up, climb into that robot, and she'll do what Achilles is too much of a coward to do. She'll fight. There's only one problem with this plan, which Tex explains to Achilles. Quote, "She's good on paper, but she's a woman. She's got no chance." Athena strips naked in front of Achilles and Tex and grabs her towel so she can go shower with all the other male gen jocks. But before she can shower, Achilles meets her at her locker to give her a gift, a piece of fabric that he says will bring her luck. She stands before him naked and glances down at his tonsil tickler again and says, "I'm sorry, I don't have anything to give you in return." No, but you do. You most certainly do. Athena and Achilles smile at one another, and Athena turns and walks into the shower. The shot is framed in such a way that we, the viewers, get a real good look at her butt as she walks away. But after wishing her luck and wishing her well, Achilles has a change of heart. He simply cannot allow Athena to fight Alexander. Alexander is a man, and she's just a woman. So Achilles does what a man is supposed to do. He unretires and agrees to fight Alexander, so that the weak woman with her small, stupid woman brain doesn't have to. Athena, obviously, is not okay with this. She's tired of people not taking her seriously. She's tired of people doubting her and thinking less of her just because she's a woman. On the day of the battle, she confronts Achilles in his room. The two get into a fight, with Athena telling Achilles, "Only one of us leaves this room to fight Alexander." At one point during the fight, Achilles gets the better of Athena, throws her onto a bed, pins her hands down, and kisses her hard on the mouth. No consent given, no consent received. Athena knees him in the balls, tosses him aside, and knees him right in the face, knocking him backwards. She rips the key card off his neck and leaves the room with it. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that in the beginning of the scene, Athena tricked Achilles by making him think she wanted to sleep with him. While his defenses were down, she shot him with the sedative gun, severely weakening him. The writers needed Athena to defeat him in one-on-one combat, and this is the only way they could think of to make it happen. Because, let us not forget, he is a man, and she is just a woman. There are also two other things worth addressing for any of you who plan to watch this movie yourselves. Thing one, check out that stunt double they used for Athena during the fight. And thing two, when she knees him in the face, check out how close that knee comes to actually landing. Both of these things are hilarious. Okay, so anyway, Athena dresses herself in full robot jock's gear, which includes a helmet with a tinted visor, which prevents others from seeing her face. This is important because as she marches toward the robot, everyone thinks she's Achilles. It's not until she's just about to step into the cockpit and one of the workers wishes her luck by slapping her on the butt that the truth is revealed. "Hey, that's not Achilles!" the worker yells, presumably recognizing that the butt he slapped feels new and unfamiliar. The other workers are unable to stop her from taking the battlefield, but it's not for lack of trying. Despite their best efforts, she makes it to the battlefield. The commissioner makes a direct call to the officials, letting them know that Athena has hijacked the robot and Achilles is not actually operating it. The official informs him that the identity of the pilot doesn't matter. Once the robot appears on the field, the battle has officially begun. It's too late to turn back. Athena must fight. Okay, I want to take a brief moment to review how we got to where we are right now. There were 10 robot jocks. Alexander killed 8 of them. In the opening scene, we get to see him kill a 9th. Achilles is number 10, and he's the last one left. He's also the very best. Achilles fights Alexander for control over Alaska, and though the fight was ruled a draw, Achilles suffered an emotional defeat and refuses to ever fight again. This is a problem because the Americans must engage in a rematch with Alexander in a week. The Americans are left with no choice but to promote someone else to the rank of the robot jocks. They choose to promote the only woman. And it's a good choice too, actually. She has the skill, the intelligence, and the motivation. She has everything it takes to be great. The only problem is, she's a woman. When Achilles learns that a woman is going to fight Alexander, he refuses to allow that to happen. He changes his mind and decides, yeah, he'll fight again. Athena doesn't think this is fair, so she shoots Achilles with a sedative, steals his robot suit, and then steals his actual robot. By the time the Americans realize it's Athena and not Achilles in the robot, it's too late. Athena takes to the field to face Alexander, the Russian madman who has already killed 9 men and beat another into submission. And now, here we are. We've arrived at the final part of this movie. Can you guess how it's going to end? Whatever you think is going to happen, I can almost assure you, you're wrong. Achilles wakes up from his sedative-induced nap and sprints to the control room. He realizes Athena is going to have to fight whether they like it or not, so he might as well throw in a headset and help coach her through the battle. Now, this movie presents itself with the perfect opportunity to teach valuable lessons on sexism and gender discrimination. I mean, think about it. The woman who no one believes in, who no one takes seriously, she smashes the glass ceiling in a male-dominated profession. And she doesn't passively wait for change to come. She's driven, she's proactive, she takes initiative and seizes an opportunity that will blaze a trail for all women who come after her. She will do what 10 men before her have failed to do. She will defeat Alexander. And she will show the country, she will show the world, and most importantly, she will show us that respect is not given and it is not earned. It is to be demanded. And as the credits roll, we're left with the realization that it was Athena who was the true hero all along. This is the route the film could have taken. But, well, it's 1989, so they didn't. Athena takes to the field. So does Alexander. His robot has 4 penises, legs, and he cackles maniacally as he fires his robot cannons at Athena. Sparks fly as the heavy artillery ejaculates all over Athena's robot face. Athena fires back, but it has little effect. Alexander launches himself high into the air, knocking Athena to the ground. He mounts her and starts punching her right in the titties. She saws off one of his robot hands. This becomes significant later, but right now, it doesn't do anything to slow down Alexander's ruthless pounding. Alexander lowers his other robot hand to Athena's chest and activates a thrusting, piston-like motion that repeatedly slams into Athena's chest. From inside the robot, the concussive force of each thrust causes Athena to lose control of her own body as she climaxes, flails uncontrollably. She falls unconscious, and the officials declare Alexander the winner. The moral of the story? A stupid woman who didn't know how to stay in her place gets taught a painful lesson. She will never, ever be as good as a man, and her only real purpose is to fulfill men's sexual desires. Don't believe me? Well, listen to this. After Alexander pounds her into oblivion, Achilles leaves the control room, drives to the downed robot, and strips Athena out of her robot armor. As he's getting her out of her clothes, she said she's sorry, then pulls his head in close to hers and kisses him hard. And that's the last we hear from Athena in this movie. That's the end of her character arc. Fighting is a man's job, so after Athena is transported off the field, Achilles gets into the robot, fires it up, and faces off with Alexander. The officials who declared Alexander the winner tell him he must leave the battlefield or his victory will be taken away and given to the Americans. But he refuses to leave because he's obsessed with fighting Achilles. Alexander gets disqualified, so Achilles could just leave the battlefield as well. The Americans have won. There is absolutely nothing to be gained by fighting one another. Or is there? It becomes clear that this fight isn't about Alaska, and it never was. It's about something else entirely. They fire up their giant robots and fly off into space. I'm serious, they fly into space. While in space, Alexander aims a thick, girthy missile right at Achilles' butt. It hits him in the foot, damaging one of his engines. Achilles crash lands back to Earth, and Alexander follows him there. Achilles presses a button that transforms his robot into a giant mobility scooter and scoots toward Alexander. I promise you, I am not making any of this up. Alexander fires his weapons at Achilles, but he can't seem to hit the moving target. In his mobility scooter form, Achilles is much more compact, much shorter, which places his cockpit eye level with Alexander's robot crotch. Achilles fires a rocket right into Alexander's robot crotch, and Alexander doesn't like that. He reaches down and grabs Achilles by his robot crotch. Again, this is not a result of my overactive imagination. The camera zooms in so we can see exactly where he's reaching. Alexander flips Achilles, and Achilles ends up on his back. Alexander stands over him and opens a hatch on his robot crotch and whips out a giant, erect, phallic, chainsaw robot penis and starts cutting into Achilles' cockpit. Achilles exits the robot and runs for his life. This is when he notices the robot hand that Athena had cut off earlier. Achilles runs over to it, hides behind it, and begins connecting some wires. Alexander slowly approaches, laughing maniacally while telling Achilles he's a dead man. Just then, Achilles activates the robot fist and launches it right at Alexander, causing his robot to explode. Somehow, this doesn't kill Alexander, and hand-to-hand combat ensues. Achilles gets the best of Alexander and is just about to smash him over the head with a metal pipe when Alexander speaks up and treats us to the best movie ending in cinema history. "You could live years if I kill you," Alexander says. "We can both live," Achilles screams. "We are dead," Alexander replies. "We are robot jocks." Achilles tosses his metal pipe aside, looks lovingly into Alexander's eyes, and says, on the verge of tears, "We can live." Alexander lifts a giant stone high into the air and twists his face into a menacing snarl as he approaches Achilles. "Ugh," he says. But slowly, the snarl fades. Alexander lowers his arm, drops the stone, and smiles at Achilles. So when I said that this final battle was never about Alaska, this is what I meant. Neither Alexander nor Achilles really wanted Alaska. They wanted each other. And all their hypermasculinity and objectification of women was just an effort to cover their own insecurities and self-hatred. Alexander and Achilles are in love with each other, and they simply couldn't bring themselves to admit that to one another, or to themselves. Until now. Achilles lifts his hand and gives Alexander a thumbs up. Alexander does the same to him in return. They pound their fists together, and the credits roll. And in the end, we can only assume that there, in the desert, finally alone after all this time, Alexander and Achilles don't just pound fists. They pounded butts too. Just like Jennifer Connelly in Requiem for a Dream.
No. No. I think I just recently pushed that out of my mind, finally.
I just
Now
love
it's back.
that this is what we come back to. I love that this is where we come back to present time for the show. So, Joe, what was your count of the ding dong ding dongs? Because I don't know if my count was accurate.
All right.
Because I did it in a bit of a rush. And those multiple ding dongs count as one, by the way.
I think I got 33.
I got 34. So you may be right. One of us, we're pretty close. I did the count really quickly as it was playing because
Okay.
I forgot to actually count it when I was writing it. So you may be right. And I think with the multiple ding dongs there, if you count those as multiple ones, I think we're at 37 maybe.
Possibly. All I know is
Your thoughts?
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do not watch this movie unless you are absolutely sure that this is something that you want to do.
I mean, the whole love story thing, I don't know if they were actually in love with each other, but it seemed pretty obvious to me that they were obsessed with each other. And then in the very end, when they put their fists together with the thumbs up, it seemed pretty on the nose. Like, I don't know how else you can read into that.
From the description, it sounds like gay baiting at the very
right.
least,
But
so.
the movie was released in '89, so I don't think that was a thing that they had in mind or they did purposely.
Well, most of the I don't even know, I can't think of a term to even call it. Most of the things that were kind of secretively gay in the 80s just were secretively gay, and you didn't realize until much later.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I suppose I could see that happening.
He-Man's bangs.
Judas Priest. although Judas Priest, Rob Halford was very openly gay, and that's a whole other story. But he was just like, I can't believe it took people this long to understand what the deal was with the tight leather that I always wore.
Yeah,
but anyway,
just like really, all this time, really.
Right. But I wanted to, when I rewatched this movie, I didn't really have the idea of toxic masculinity before I started watching it. But
you could definitely have it from the description of watching it.
Oh yeah, yep. When I got through it the first time, I was just like, oh my gosh, this movie is so toxic. There's so many things wrong with it that I have to do this on top. Especially when I saw the ending, and the thing that really pushed me over the edge was Athena's storyline and her arc. There were so many things about her that just felt like she just existed for very specific reasons. I mean, the first thing I couldn't understand was she was attracted to Achilles. Like, it was very clear that she had an attraction to him. But why? There was nothing about Achilles that should have attracted her, unless you're writing this film from a toxic masculine standpoint.
That's a power fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're writing this film from that standpoint, then he does all these manly things. He's a tough guy, and his insults to her, his joking insults, are attractive and they're hot, and chicks dig that. But the stuff that he said was borderline assault, and when he kissed her on the bed, that was actual assault. And so I kind of want to talk about that aspect. We're going to talk about a lot of aspects of toxic masculinity, but we're going to talk about that first, and that kind of this masculine idea that completely ignores the concept of consent, and this thought process that some guys have, and that I've witnessed firsthand in conversations. That and I can't speak for all women, but this idea that...
Are you sure about that, Tyrice? You sure there's nothing you want to explain?
I mean, no. Not that I'm aware of. But there's just this idea that women want this kind of masculine energy.
Yes.
For lack of a better word, thrust upon them, no pun intended.
Yes.
So
they don't want the nice guy. They want the bad boy and all of that stupid cliche shit.
Yeah, and as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking that all these stupid cliches is as if someone put them together and then wrote a movie where there was a world where all of this stuff happened the way it happens in their head.
And that movie was called Every Movie in the 80s.
Yeah. I honestly could have picked any 80s movie.
Really?
And did this for, but I don't know. I really loved Robot Jocks, and I still do love it, but I don't love it for the themes that I felt like they were trying to push. So there was that. There was what else here? There was a once again sticking with Athena. There was her whole arc, where I think the film's going to go in a direction where she's going to be the one who saves the day, and they're going to learn a lesson about, not doubting her and things like that. But she fails. She goes through all this work to achieve a goal, and she fails, and then a man has to take over and do it for her.
And the man technically fails too.
Yes, but
in the end, it's okay. Like, that's perfectly fine that he failed.
Yeah, and she just wasted everyone's time. She just wasted everyone's time by trying to be, like, she tried to step out of her, this box that she had been placed in. And she failed at that, so she goes back into her box.
Yeah.
And it felt like the message was, of course, that's what all women should do, is stay in that box.
yeah, that's the way it comes out to seem.
And
technically Achilles lost technically twice, or one loss and like a draw that just turned into.
Well, see, so the first one was a draw, and he quit, and he ended up causing a bunch of people to die in the first one. It wasn't entirely his fault, but he ends up accidentally killing a bunch of people. And in the second one,
he just couldn't handle that fisting.
God, I wish I had that Boeing programmed into my pad, but I don't. So he gets ruled a draw, and in the second time he fights, he's about to get killed, but he finds this robot hand in the desert, and he wires it together, and he smashes into this guy's chest, and he has this guy down with this metal pipe, and he's gonna beat him over the head with it and kill him. But that's when they have the conversation where they profess their love for one another, and the movie ends with the thumbs up. So he did win the second fight, or he would have won if he continued. But still, like, what is the point of, why did Athena even exist in this movie? What purpose did she serve? Because I couldn't see any.
Oh, you could see a purpose.
Yeah.
It just isn't the purpose you wanted to see.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Also, there's something else I didn't mention, and then I want to kind of get your thoughts on toxic masculinity, stuff that you've witnessed. But there was the scene in the end where she's in the robot, and Achilles is going to help her win the fight, and he recognizes that she's going to fight. She's going to have to fight. He's going to have to help her. The entire time she's in the robot, she's completely lost. And Achilles is on the headset telling her what to do. He's like, oh, fire the laser, use this and use that and do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, is he mansplaining to her how to work a robot?
Yes.
And she's in there going, oh, I don't know what to do. And she's so scared, and she's so dumb, and she's a woman. And he's just like, you got to do this and press this button and use your blinders. And it's just, it just made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so much of what you described about the movie made me uncomfortable.
So I want to give you the floor to tell me what made you uncomfortable. But before I do that, I just want to make it clear that you and I can only speak for me, but I'm sure you understand as well, that we're discussing a topic that we only have input on one side of. We can't speak for women in this topic. And there's a difference between, like, we're speaking about something that we don't necessarily experience in the way that we're discussing it. For example, we don't experience toxic masculinity like in the same way that women experience the effects of it. We can observe it, and observed experience is valid in a different way than lived experience. And we also
observe the experience, and then we have our own experiences with that.
So we can give our own experiences from our side, but we can't give experiences, like, we can't give lived experiences from this other side. It's only what we've observed. But we can give our lived experience as people who are supposed to, according to some people, supposed to do these things, these toxic things. And if we don't, then we're judged negatively because of it by people who do. Yes. So tell me what made you uncomfortable about my description, or just toxic masculinity in general, and then we can get this conversation rolling.
What made me uncomfortable about the movie?
About my description of it. Was it my constant repeated mentions of wieners and my multiple euphemisms? I like Jurassic Park. I was fond of Jurassic Park. I like that.
Jurassic Park was good.
I found out online.
You know, as I tend to laugh at dick jokes, because they were being told to me as dick jokes, I feel like I responded to them better than when I was kind of imagining in my head of seeing the actual scenes. the two guys going to the doctor to donate sperm and clinking their cups. I don't even know where to begin with that one.
I guess I can, to help you out, it wasn't like in beer commercials when they clank the cups and the cups are like overflowing with beer and it gets all over their hands. The cups were empty cups. So
I figured that, and to be honest, considering it being the 80s, if that had happened, they would have immediately gone ill and then punched everybody in the room to prove that they were straight.
Yeah. Which would have only indicated otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that part made you a little uneasy.
That the whole just literally just looking at Athena as just, I don't even want to say eye candy, because you can appreciate a good looking woman, and then there's just like literally just like, I just want you to know that all I want to do is put my penis inside you, and that's all you'll ever be good for. That's completely.
And you know, and the thing that I see a lot amongst guys who I talk to, and the sense of just casual conversations, people who don't know me very well, or people who I want to be friends with and see a potential friendship, and like this is the thing that prevents that friendship from happening because I don't want to be around this kind of behavior and thought processes and things like that. So I kind of steer clear of that. But there definitely seems to be this attitude of entitlement.
Excuse me.
There seems to be this attitude of entitlement where they are entitled to a woman's attention. And if as a male, if they're kind enough to give some woman attention, then it is an insult to refuse that attention. You know?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, so what I was going to say is I had that particularly toxic trait of the whole nice guy syndrome, where it's just like, oh, I'm a nice guy. I don't understand why. And it's not like I haven't dated people. So some of that was definitely uncalled for in that regard, in that one place. But it was just like, oh, well, you know, I have girls who are friends that I'm kind of interested in, but they're just like, oh, I only see you as a brother. But like, oh, I wish I had a guy like you. And, oh, I wish I had someone who was as kind and sweet as you, but not you.
Yeah.
And especially when you're young, hormones and stuff, and when you don't know any better, because that's another big part of it. Hormones and things like that should be taken into account. But really explaining consent and really understanding that just because you could be interested in someone, you have to always respect their humanity and remember to view them as a person and not let your brain just get overridden by whatever because you feel this feeling and that's what you want. Yeah, I went a whole thing with the like, oh, girls don't want nice guys, they want jerks and stuff like that. That was something I dealt with for a while, and it took me until I got older and to really see more things and see people discuss it and everything, where I was just like, holy shit, this is really fucked up.
And that's why, like I said, I mentioned in the cancel culture episode that we need to allow people room to grow, because I look back at the person who I used to be, and it was a long time ago, and for me, things can go so far back in the past that I forget my exact thoughts and my feelings, how I felt about anything. But what I don't forget is the music I listened to at the time. So I can...
If that's not a reminder.
Exactly. So I can sit here and say that I've always been a good dude and I've always had the best intentions at heart, which, you know, I think it's true. Like, I've always had the best intentions at heart. But I go back and listen to the songs that I used to relate to, and I remember listening to the lyrics of certain songs and going, yeah, I relate to that 100%. And that tells me where I was at that point in time and at that period in my life. Oh, and these songs are awful. listening to them today, they're so problematic and they're so toxic. And I do the math, and if this song is toxic and I related to it 100%, what does it say about me in the way that I was presenting myself to other people?
Obviously, the equation equals toxicity.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
and not System of a Down.
Not System of a Down, no. But speaking of toxic and confusing in music, to touch on that nice guy syndrome that you mentioned, I remember being a kid, and I grew up on music. Music was such a huge part of my life, and it still is. And I remember listening to songs like Roughneck by MC Light and Freak Like Me by Dina Howard. And I'm listening to like Roughneck, and it's like, yo, gotta get a Roughneck. I need it in the morning, so I gotta get. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, is this what women want?
Yeah, like,
I'm never gonna get a girlfriend.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just like. But wait. So what do I do?
Right. So it's like, as I got older, what I kind of realized was what I thought was, and as I grew up, I had the same thing where girls don't like a nice guy, blah blah blah. But first of all, that's wrong. But it's a really complex, it's a long journey to figure out why that's wrong. And one of the things that I figured out was the guys that I thought were mean and were jerks. It's not always that girls want a jerk. Like if a girl says she wants a roughneck, she just wants someone with a little more attitude than I have. Right? Yeah. It's not like you know what
basically I mean? Back then, as we would have actually come to realize, a spine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just someone who is not so like, will you please like me? Like, I was annoying. Yeah. No one wants to deal with that.
So was I.
Right. So it's like,
it was bad.
People don't want to deal with that. And just because someone doesn't want to deal with that doesn't mean that they're not into nice guys. And again, I don't remember exactly who I was back then or how I came off. I wasn't self-aware enough to even know how I appeared, but I can think back and I'm like, if you are constantly on this I'm a nice guy thing and I'm a nice guy and you have to say it and say it and say it, you probably weren't a very nice guy.
No.
Like no real like hardcore like thug has to say that he's a thug. You can look at him and you can know I'm not gonna mess with that guy. That guy hasn't said a word all night at this party. I don't feel comfortable. I'm leaving. He doesn't have to say anything. So yeah, it's just that, and I do still hear that a lot, that girls don't like nice guys, and it's just so. It's frustrating for me.
There's two components to that that I've learned as I've gotten older. One is there's a reason the term I can't even think of the exact term now. I don't know, sane in the streets, freaking the sheets, whatever. There's a reason for that, because what you do in your bedroom in your own home, it can be another thing of how you carry yourself around people, and that would be I feel like that's a better definition of the whole roughneck mentality that they were talking about. Right. Like he can be, you can be polite, gentlemen, hold open doors. And then when it's personal time, as long as it's within those consensual bounds.
Consent. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you could be, a different person, I think. And then the other thing is, it's not just women who are looking for those type of people. Men will look for women who have the same type of attitude. I like to attribute that as to people who are attracted to drama who may or may not realize that they are attracted to drama.
Right. Like if you're out somewhere and you're with you're with your partner and it's you and your partner and someone disrespects your partner, and I mean like face-to-face disrespect. Your partner has two options. Is your partner going to fight this person, or are they going to be the bigger person and go home? Now, depending on who you are, you may prefer it if your partner fights that person, physical altercation, or you may prefer it if your partner goes home. there's no right or wrong answer for like what like everyone has their preference for what they prefer. Some people like that tough guy, tough girl, tough whomever. Like, yes, my person is gonna protect my honor and not let me be disrespected, or my partner is gonna be logical about this and not get ourselves, and it's going to be the bigger person and remove us from this situation. And like, it doesn't. Basically,
and there's a middle ground for that as well. You can still stand up for your partner while realizing that if I actually go to fight this person, nothing good is going to come from it.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is, and this is something that's so hard for people to understand, and I get it because it was so hard for me to understand at one point, and it's so hard for so many people to understand now, and I'm going to blow people's minds. Different women want different things.
I'm sorry, you were talking and I heard.
let me say it with my chest. Put a little more bass in my voice. Different women want different things. Was that better?
I feel like I understood that. I perfectly got that now.
It's just it's the same thing I say about the black community, and I always say like the goal of the black community is to make people realize there's no black community. Same thing with women. It bothers me to even keep saying the word women, but I do it because for me, like in dealing with my encounters with toxic masculinity and me working my way through that and constantly trying to be aware of it, it was a man and woman thing. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like toxic masculinity can touch all things, can touch men, women, and all people who are in relationships aren't in, you know, boy girl relationships. All relationships aren't that way. But I really felt the need to vent about some of the things that I personally have seen and dealt with. And, you know, I hope that you could bring your experiences here as well, and we could both vent about these things.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have another example that you would like to give? Because I have a couple directions that I could go if you don't. So
there's one, and I'm hoping I'm not stepping on one of yours.
No, I doubt you will.
Okay. Because you go to the gym.
You probably are.
Okay, see, that's
no, go ahead.
Because I was about to say, you go to the gym, you know, you work out, you're taking care of yourself, you know, you trying to look nice in these streets, trying to get your health on.
I got the vaccine going. I got it. It's gonna be a hot boy summer, but go ahead.
I mean, I know, man. I know. I see you. I mean, I'm just trying to be like you, man.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get like you.
I got my thought shot, you know.
But I too went to the gym. Eventually I will be back in the gym.
Right.
And so out of shape while I'm back in the gym.
It's gonna hurt.
But everything hurts now. My knees. I don't understand.
Oh, that's never gonna get better.
No. My knees are just gone.
Yeah.
But gym culture, you can run into a lot of toxicity with that. Bro, how much do you bench? I mean, man, that's okay, but I mean, I used to bench this.
Yep.
Or bro, you're not shredded enough, you're not cut, you're not lifting enough weight, this or that. I've been fortunate where I actually wind up getting friends, from making friends at the gym, who we could all be supportive of each other. Now, we gave each other a hard time just because, you know, it's fun to give your friends a hard time and stuff like that. But supportive when it came to lifts, when, you know, people are trying to like figure out what to do for like eating for certain goals and things like that. Not necessarily caring. So I would say, because I was powerlifting at the time, if one of my friends commented something about me not lifting very heavy, it would be more of them like trying to encourage me,
right?
More than talking shit to me. Just like, oh man, you know, you can handle this weight. You know, don't let it bother you. Don't get in your head. Things like that. Or, you know, if they said, oh man, you're not lifting heavy today, I was like, man, I'm kind of sore, not really feeling it, kind of feeling run down. I'd be like, okay, bro, totally understand.
Right.
You know, things like that, where you get a lot of people who will go into a gym and they feel the need to show off.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can't lie. I have felt that from time to time too. And I've been guilty of that. But for the most part, I really like that my gym experiences have been pretty much mostly just, you know, fun and good and not as toxic as they easily could be, and you get it some places, you know, except for motherfuckers not re-racking.
Yeah, that
weights.
really bothers me.
I'm sorry if you don't fucking re-rack your weights. I fucking hate you.
That's just a courtesy thing. That's got nothing to do with being toxic. Like, put the weights back.
No, there's a bit of toxicity in that. Just like, oh man, like, you know, oh, I did all this weight. I'm just gonna leave all this shit here. Someone else can pick up my.
I guess you're right.
Me.
I marked my territory. This is my
pretty much.
I'm above this. Someone else put them back. Yeah.
I was doing squats once, and I had to hurry up and leave and get out of there. I left my weights and my own collars, because I brought my own collars, on the bar. Came back a day or two later, and one of the gym employees told me. So they didn't yell at me.
Yeah.
They're just like, "Oh man, you left the weight." And I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I am really so sorry." They're like, "Look, I know it's you. Like, you know, you don't do this."
Right.
So.
I think that I lose touch sometimes. Like, it's possible for me to be out of touch with things like that you mentioned, because while I do work out, I do it alone. Like, when I started back really dedicating myself to fitness and exercise and all of that, I did it in part because it was a way for me to keep moving, and it was a way for me to get out. It gave me reasons to get up and get out of bed every day. So when I, or pretty much anyone is dealing with depression, what they tell you is just move, and just get yourself up and exercise every day, even if it doesn't feel good. And eventually, when it becomes a habit, you'll start to feel these changes. You'll start to see your body change, but you'll also start to feel these physiological changes, and it'll start to help balance things out if you just trust it and stick with it. So when I first started, that was why I had started doing it, because I had always been involved in sports and fitness and all these things, and I got out of it for a while, and then I got back into it. So when I fell in love with it again, it was me doing it by myself. And now I still do it by myself. So even if I go to the gym with someone, my idea of going to the gym together is we go and we check in together, we put on our headphones, and we go our separate ways and do our workouts. So I don't work out with other people, which kind of sucks because I don't have a spotter for certain things. So I never do, if I'm doing bench, I never do barbell bench. I can only do dumbbells, because if I can't lift it, I just drop the weights. So it kind of sucks because I'm doing it all alone. I don't have someone there to push me and encourage me. And I just put my headphones on, listen to my music, and it's my me time. I just go. So I think I sometimes lose sight of or forget about how toxic that gym culture can be, because when I'm there, I'm 100% in my own world and no one else around me exists. It's just me. So I do think sometimes I lose sight of that, and I don't necessarily see a lot of the things that you just mentioned. But I also know that just because I don't see them doesn't mean they don't exist.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember that, but I do miss a lot of that. But I've heard these conversations take place, and I've had these conversations occasionally with people who, when I tell them that I work out, they ask me how much I can bench. What's your max? And I'm like, I don't know my max, because I only work out alone, so I don't feel safe lifting such a heavy weight if I can't get it up. So I don't know what my max is. And they're so shocked. They're like, what do you mean you don't know? How much can you squat? I don't know. I can tell you how much I can do for like 8 reps and like 3 sets. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not counting the weight, because that's not why I do it. I do it for myself because it helps me feel good. And
it's a totally different goal from from how you lift weights. Like,
right.
You're doing more kind of physique, muscle strengthening,
Yeah.
things like that, and then adding the cardio. I was doing, especially with me doing powerlifting, could not really just lift on my own for everything because you're trying to work towards whatever your maximum rep is.
Right.
And shit can be touch and go. I have a good friend of mine, Greg. Dude is strong as a fucking ox, literally, just strong as a fucking ox. And he can squat over like 405. But I was spotting him this one time we were squatting together, and it was just as simple as, for whatever reason, he just went forward slightly, and it almost completely threw him off. Like, I caught him in the bar, and that stopped him from like falling over. And just, even if it's something you can handle, and he could handle that technically without me. He didn't really need me there. But when you're doing heavier weights, you have, it's good to have someone there, because anything weird can just happen.
And that's why, and that's for me. And I think that's probably why one of the reasons why I never got into powerlifting is because I do it alone. So one, I don't use weights that are that heavy. And two, when I do use weights that are heavy, or if I'm like nearing failure, I make sure I'm in I work out with equipment that I can, if I just collapse, it won't kill me. Like, even when I'm doing squats in the rack, I make sure I stick those little bars in there. You know what I'm talking about? So if I fall and the weight falls with me, it catches the weight at about waist level. And things like that. And I feel like I'm missing out on some of that, like some of that camaraderie that you can get with that. But also, to
a degree, but I mean, if what you're doing is working for you, then
it definitely works. That's not what I'm glad you mentioned it, because that's not one of the areas that I have to, or that I've noticed toxic masculinity. However, I have noticed it in my fandom of sports. For those who don't know, I am a big fan of all sports. I'm a big fan of mixed martial arts. I'm a big fan of boxing. I'm a big fan of football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, some auto racing. I'm into a lot of different sports, and it's a lot of fun for me. Like, I just enjoy it all. But again, it's this lonely feeling because I can't really talk sports with a lot of people, because sports is this hyper masculine thing, and I don't watch it for that reason. Like, I'm not sitting here reading football blogs and reading the news so I can yell at someone about their sports opinion. I mean, I do like to yell at people about their sports opinions, but in a fun way. Like, it's never disrespectful. It's never a competition.
If you follow his Instagram, you've seen a post or two about sports.
Yeah, and even when teams that I like, when they lose, I make fun of them when it's funny. But it's never about being disrespectful and being in this competition and being just aggressive to see who can be the tougher sports guy. I don't do that, and it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to make. This is why, if anyone's been following my podcast from day one, first of all, thank you. Second, if anyone's been following my podcast from day one, all of my guests that I've had on are friends. And most
I don't know you. I'm joking. Sorry.
Whatever. Okay, co-host. So all of the guests.
You knew what this was.
Yeah. All of the guests I've had on are friends. And you may have noticed that most of the guests are girls. It's because I have so much trouble developing quality friendships with dudes, because they do or say something that just makes me go, ugh, that's not okay. I don't really want to hang out with you at all. And it's frustrating because, I want to have friendships with dudes, but I just can't. And there's been times where I've been so close to having a good friendship with a man, and then they say something super sexist or super problematic, and I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to be around this anymore. And the friendship is over.
Tyrice never gets his fist bump thumbs up.
I never get my fist
so
bump
sad.
thumbs up. No. Like, what if I want a fist bump thumbs up? But it's weird, especially in especially with UFC. Like I watch UFC. And it's weird seeing the conversations that happen around UFC on discussion boards or on the internet or sometimes in person. I feel like people need to be reminded that they're not actually the ones out there fighting.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Because they get so aggressive with their conversations. And I'm like, whoa. It's just a sport. You're not the ones in there fighting. Just observe it and have healthy discussion and just leave it at that. Like, I don't understand the masculine kind of attitude towards sports. And not only
it's power fantasy once again.
Yeah, it's got to be it. And it's not even it's also
it's role playing for people who don't want to do Dungeons and Dragons, for the kind of people who are not into that.
And that's the other thing. That's why this is such a lonely existence for me, because I do Dungeons and Dragons too.
Wait, Tyrice. Okay,
Yes.
You feel that way. How do you think I feel? Powerlifting, listening to hardcore music,
Oh yeah.
playing fighting games and stuff like that, and then I listen to Japanese girl pop bands.
But like, why not? Why is that a problem?
No, it makes complete sense to me.
Oh, it makes complete sense to me too. But with some outside observer, why is that a problem? Why can't you like things that make you happy?
Yes.
And why can't and the gatekeeping also with these hyper masculine things? I see a lot of dudes lock women out of these discussions and out of these fandoms because they're women, the same way they locked Athena out of this robot jocks thing. But I've seen so many people disrespect women's opinion on sports because they're women.
Sports, any kind of fandom, really. Oh, you like comics? Name all of the comics ever.
Right. Yeah. Or like they're quizzing them on their fandom as if and it's just like, no, just what you don't. Women can like sports too. It doesn't make you any less of a man.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
a woman likes sports or knows more about sports than you do, or doesn't know anything about sports. Because I have a secret that I'm going to tell everyone here, and I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. I have been following sports for a long time, and I don't really follow much else on TV. Like, I don't really watch any TV at all. When I'm sitting in front of a TV, I'm either watching a movie. Actually, that's not true because I watch movies on my computer. When I'm sitting in front of a TV, I'm watching sports. And when I'm reading things on my phone, I'm reading about sports. So I'm not an expert, but I know a lot more about sports than the average person. So
Weird flex, but okay.
No, here's my secret. It's not. It's only because I put the time to it. Now, if you ask me about a really good Netflix show, I'm still on episode 1 of what's the show that you told me to watch?
There's been so many.
With
Lupin?
No, the Marvel
Lupin?
show.
You're only on episode 1 of fucking WandaVision.
Yes, WandaVision. That's what I'm only on episode 1 of WandaVision. But did you know that the U.S. men's under 23 team failed to qualify for the Olympics?
Hell no, because I don't know anything about sports.
Exactly. So things like that, I put on the back burner so that I can watch sports. So this weird flex is for a reason. So here's the big secret. A lot of men who talk sports, and this is especially egregious in football, a lot of men who talk sports, they don't really know anything about sports.
Oh, yeah.
Anything at all. If you spend any amount of time researching sports, you will find that the men with the loudest sports opinions have no idea what they're talking about at all. I was having a discussion with someone about, and this is going to be a sports topic. It'll be really short, I promise. I was wearing my 76ers mask, and he said, "Oh, guys have a big game tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, they were playing the Lakers." He goes, "Big game." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Pretty important. It's going to be tough." And I'm like, "Not really. LeBron James is injured. And he goes, oh, is he? I had no idea. Joe, did I put you to sleep?
I'm sorry. What? I mean, what? I heard something about LeBron James's hairline.
No.
No, I'm joking. I heard you.
I know. I was talking sports with a guy who was supposedly a big sports fan, but he didn't know that LeBron James, the most popular athlete in basketball, was injured. So my big secret is when you hear someone talking sports, when you hear someone talking basketball, and they're really condescending about their knowledge or condescending about your knowledge, they probably don't know a whole lot. Most sports fans don't know a whole lot about the sport. They just know what they hear on ESPN or on sports talk radio, and that's it. So, yeah.
And counterpoint, for the people who gatekeep, if they do know a lot about the subject that they're gatekeeping about, is because they felt the only way to be a true fan was to force themselves to have all of this knowledge, and it's performative more than just actually enjoying the thing for what it actually is.
And at that point, are you even having fun?
Yeah.
You know, like, again, and I'll bring that back to sports. And I like watching football, like watching NFL football. I don't spend a lot of time watching college football. Now, I have a couple friends. I know people who watch college football religiously. And one of the reasons why they're into it is because they want to know who's coming up in the draft so they can have an idea of who their team should draft, et cetera, et cetera. That's a level of sports fandom that I'm not willing to get into that much. I'll read about the draft when it's happening or when it's about to happen, but I'm not watching college football all year so I can do my own scouting reports on these kids. I'm not doing that. So there are people who are way more into sports than I am and are more knowledgeable, but I do know a lot, but I'm not willing to make this unfun for myself just so I can gatekeep and keep other people out and be the smartest guy in the room for sports. I enjoy it. I know what I know because I enjoy watching as much as I do, and I read at a level that's comfortable for me, and then I don't seek out anymore. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Stop gatekeeping.
Yes. Just men, women, whoever, just don't. There's no point in gatekeeping. If people want to join your thing because they think it's awesome, that's more people who agree with you. So what's the problem?
The problem is their own insecurity. So deal with your insecurity. Yes. And just because something that you like is liked by someone else, it shouldn't affect your self-worth. It doesn't affect you as a person. And if you feel like it does, that's a you problem that you should probably work on.
And that's exactly the problem with toxic masculinity. If you feel like in order for someone to be a man, they have to go by certain traits that are just written in stone, and if they're not doing that, then oh my God, that's not manly of them. Why are you so worried about how manly this other person is?
It's because their masculinity is so fragile, and I feel like, and this is just my theory, they put so much emphasis on masculine traits and being masculine, and they put so much emphasis on it because their own view of themselves they're so insecure and it's so fragile. So they have to have these definite rules in place, this order in place to say this is what makes a man and this is what makes a manly man, and everyone has to follow these rules. It's just the way it is, because that way I know that by me following these rules, I am a tough man. I'm a man's man.
Yes.
And
yes.
So like I can't listen to Lil Nas X because that makes me less of a man. I don't even want him to make music anymore because if I say he's allowed to make music, then I'm less of a man. And it's just like, no, how about you just do what you want to do and be secure in your masculinity and not make it toxic?
Yes, exactly.
Is that too much to ask?
So, I actually wanted to read a couple quotes that I have. They're really short. So the first quote, or first part of it, because it's pretty much like within like the same scene.
Okay.
The first part is, you were your own man and stood up for yourself. And then the second one goes, you did what was right even though no one agreed with you. Sounds pretty manly to me, but what do I know? These, I mean, that sounds like pretty like decent advice.
Mm-hmm.
These were quotes from Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls, if you didn't know, is one of the most amazing.
I love Gravity Falls.
Ever.
I didn't know that was
Yes.
Grunkle Stan. Those were Grunkle Stan quotes.
Have the Dipper versus Manliness is from the end of that episode.
I need to rewatch all the episodes.
Which, if that's not one of the best looks at toxic masculinity, especially not even just because of the Disney cartoon, but in spite of the fact that it's a Disney cartoon.
Right.
I don't know what is.
That is I can't believe. I just didn't think we were discussing Gravity Falls, but I'm here for it. I'm happy we are.
When you told me that's what it was, immediately I thought to that episode, and I had to make sure that I got the quotes, and I made sure I re-listened and wrote them down word for word so I would have them correct.
I absolutely love it. I'm trying to think of. So I had written something down that I don't quite want us to go to yet, because I think that's going to send us off on a whole other tangent.
Okay.
And I want us to finish up in this neighborhood first. So I'm just going to run through some things. I want us to talk about. So here's what I want us to talk about. And I want us to talk about how dumb toxic masculinity is. I want us to talk about some things that we have been judged for and that we have been called less than masculine for. Right? So I just want us to share some things that either, you know, men, women, anyone, because everyone can fall into this trap of judging things in terms of their perceived masculinity. Men, women, anyone, doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
I want us to share some things that we have been judged for and people have called us less masculine for. I can start.
Okay.
One day I went to pay for something at a place, and I pulled up my wallet, and it was a Vera Bradley wallet. And the reason why I had this wallet was because I thought it looked awesome. So I pulled my credit card out of this wallet, and someone looked at it and said, ew. This is someone who I knew. So yes, this is disrespectful, but it wasn't a stranger saying it to me. This person said, ew, why do you have a girl's wallet? And I said, no, it's a man's wallet. And she says, no, it's a woman's wallet. And I said, no, it's a man's wallet. Do you know why? And she goes, why? I said, because I'm a man and I have it. Now take my card and pay for my stuff. And that was the end of that conversation. So I got judged for having a wallet that wasn't manly enough.
Okay.
And before you go, I want to say this really quick. This reminds me of the Twitter meme that it's like, fellas, is it gay to blah, blah, blah? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's yours?
Okay. So we're going to go back and forth with these because you got more, right?
I'm sure I could think of some for sure.
Oh yeah. Cause I got some. I rock Merces. I don't give a shit. Messenger bags, little like knapsacks or whatever you call them, because they are so handy. If you're going on if you're in a city on vacation and you're doing like a little day excursion, I don't want to carry a big backpack unless I'm going to like a comic book shop or something like that.
Right.
I want something that I can toss, like, you know, a water, you know, some stuff. Like if we pick up a couple of things, like we need just something real quick and just sling around my back and good to go. I don't give a fuck. I treat bags the same way I love these bags the same way I love cargo shorts, because to me, it's all about how much shit can I carry on me, necessary or not, at one time.
I support it. This is one that I saw a meme about this on the internet, but this actually happened to me. I was eating a banana. And someone told me I was eating a banana wrong. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, man, a man ain't supposed to eat no banana like that. Man, you got to break that thing off, man. You got to break it off and eat it one piece at a time. So.
Yes, because.
My masculinity was called into question because I was eating a banana.
Because you were putting a fruit penis in your mouth.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. Your turn.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this one is a two-part. I'm trying to find the one shirt that I have. So I have a Sailor Moon t-shirt. I only have one so far. I'm planning on getting more because I am a fan of Sailor Moon.
Okay.
I have worn that to the gym before. I also have a t-shirt that was given to me by a friend because I work out, and especially for leg days, because so getting just kind of slightly back into working out, my leg days, I would do them on Thursdays because at the time I had Thursdays off. I wasn't working full time at the one job, and I wasn't at the job that shall not be named on Thursdays. So this is pre-pandemic and everything. I had the AMC movie pass, so my day would be like this, right? Go to the gym, leave the gym, go to Chipotle, have Chipotle, go to see a movie, probably fall asleep in the movie, but I had the movie pass, so I could go see like 12 movies a month. So it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter if I fell asleep. If I really wanted to go back and see that movie, I could.
Yeah.
My gym workouts would be maybe 3 to 4 hours for leg days.
Right.
And I like to pair these red short shorts that I had that I got because of anime. So they look like the old school, like short red gym shorts that you would see in like the schools and stuff. And I would wear that with a shirt that my friend got me that said, "Oh my quad, Becky. Look at her squat." And this would be my outfit to do my leg days. When I mean going hard, we're talking about doing like super heavy. I squatted. There were a few times I've gone to do heavy squats and squat at 500 pounds wearing this ensemble.
So you're squatting 500 pounds, but it's not enough. That's not enough masculinity to account for the shirt you were wearing, is what you're saying. You're still judged for the shirt.
Judged to a point, but I will say this is the one time where, because of the weight I was squatting in, everyone was like, "I'm just gonna let him be him, whatever." He's
okay.
Pounds. Who gives a shit?
That was enough to overcome it, right? But if you were squatting like 100 pounds less, then you would get judged for the shirt.
People would see me in the short shorts, and people looking in the shorts like, "Man, come on!" And you're just like, "Well, I mean, your quads are huge, dude. So I guess whatever."
It's funny to me. There's no rules to this, right? It doesn't make any sense because it would be not masculine to wear the shirt, but it's masculine for other guys to go, "Hey man, nice quads."
Yeah.
Because like
it is
toxic masculinity it goes hand in hand with homophobia, right? It goes. The two are pretty closely related. So
the two are hand holding and then pretending like, "Oh my God, no."
Yeah, the two went to see a movie together and then reached in the popcorn bag at the same time and touched hands in the popcorn bag. Here's one that called my masculinity into question. Yes.
Before you do that one, I just want to say I do have a working goal that I've had for a while, and obviously the pandemic year put me off. But once I finally hit 500 pounds for my deadlift and we can start going to cons again, my plan has been and continues to be going to San Diego Comic-Con, going to a random powerlifting gym, wearing a Sailor Moon cosplay and deadlifting 500 pounds
and just walking out, just doing this with your hands and just walking
pretty
out.
Much. Yeah.
I support you. Let me know. I'll film it. Okay, so one thing that called my masculinity into question. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the city of Philadelphia. I'm quite fond of the city of Philadelphia. A few years ago, the city in the area where all the sports arenas are, they built a new place called Xfinity Live. And Xfinity Live is this giant building, and it's got bars and things, and basically it's a brilliant idea because in this area they have the Phillies Stadium, they have the Wells Fargo Center where the Flyers and the Sixers play, and they have the Eagles Stadium, and they're all within walking distance of one another. So you got your 4 major sports in one parking lot, and smack dab in the middle of all these arenas and stadiums is Xfinity Live. So if people want to go to a 1 o'clock Phillies game and then go to a 7 o'clock Flyers game, they can hang out there in between. Or they can just go there during the day, pre-pandemic, and just party all day and watch the games on big TV and be in the same area. So it's like a big party atmosphere. Well, there's a bar, or there was a bar, I don't know if it still is, inside of Xfinity Live, and it had a mechanical bull. I have never ridden a mechanical bull in my life, and I want to ride this thing so bad because I feel like I'd be good at it. And I just want to do it. Riding a mechanical bull is on my bucket list. And I got judged once because I told someone that I really wanted to ride a mechanical bull. And this person chuckled. And I said, "What's so funny?" And he goes, "No, nothing. It's just not usually something that you hear a man say. That's all." So
I feel like that's not even completely accurate because there is plenty of places where I feel like men are just like, "Oh yeah, I can last on the mechanical bull."
So I thought too, but apparently I learned that that's a thing that is not super masculine.
I say the most masculine way to handle that is you go ride that bull, request that they play Pony on the on the speakers, and make eye contact with every man in that place.
I think I might make them feel feelings that they never thought they would feel before. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do it. You share. This is your turn now.
So no one said anything to me about this. So I'm going on the assumption because I can tell if I told some of my male friends that I did this, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But one year at New York Comic Con,
oh boy,
my girlfriend had made this awesome cosplay. So what she did was she got a suit that looked like skin, actually not skin, but muscle and tendons and things, kind of reminiscent of the Titans of Attack on Titan. And then she took a clone trooper helmet, but she painted it to look like the colossal Titan head. So basically it was a mashup of Star Wars and Attack on Titan. I think we called it the Trooper Titan. I forget exactly what we called it. So funny enough, it came to my house. So she was talking about, "Oh, I hope the bodysuit fits." So I was like, "I'll try it on." So I try on this skin tight bodysuit, and I'm like, "Okay, it fits me." Like, she's taller than me and everything. I'm like, and has obviously things that I don't have. So I was just like, "But I think you could fit it." She tried it on, and it fit for her too. So she did wear it at New York Comic Con for, a little bit, and then she wound up, taking it off and everything. And so many people were complimenting her, telling her it was awesome. That night we were going to a cosplay party, and then there was a contest for cosplay, for a best cosplay. So I decided, don't worry, I'll wear the suit this time. So I put on the suit, skin tight. So it wasn't even much I could wear underneath of this. So skin tight suit, had the helmet on and everything. And of course, it wasn't just walk out and pose and stuff. No, they were playing music, so people were dancing. So what I did, because I'm telling you this right now and I do it again, the first place winner got $500. We're just we're at Comic-Con and there's a chance to get $500. You know what kind of shit we could just buy the next day? So we were just fuck
whatever
yeah.
comes next, I support it, and I would do the same thing. Okay, continue.
I got out when they would call me out. I got out and basically just fucking started twerking hard, shaking to just try to. I was working to earn my money. I did not give a fuck. Just fucking out there, just popping and everything.
Did you win? Two questions. I have three questions for you, actually.
Okay.
My first question is, did you win?
No, I got, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was third place. I think I got second place. The worst thing, I lost to fucking He-Man in the Masters of the Universe. And I was just like, I'm one person out here twerking against fucking He-Man and Skeletor, and I think it was like Man-in-Arms or whatever. I'm just like, it took three of y'all motherfuckers, and I'm out here shaking what the Lord gave me.
My second two questions 2 and 3 are kind of together. It's a double question. Questions 2 and 3.
Yes.
Was it up? Was it stuck?
Fuck yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Honestly, if the suit could have held on and I was flexible enough, I would have dropped down and did a split. But my body isn't built like that, and the suit would not be able to handle that.
Oh man. Okay, so now I'm trying to think of. I got one more thing. I think I'm trying to think of other things.
Video. I don't have the video anymore. My girlfriend might still have the video. I might ask her, and if I can get a hold of it, I will send it to you.
I think you should. You should absolutely send it to me, and I promise you, I won't post it on YouTube. Hello, listeners. Tyrice here, and I am interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast to bring you a very important message. We did indeed locate that video of Joe twerking, and true to my word, I posted it on Patreon. So if you want to see Joe drop it all the way to the flow and bust it wide open, and why wouldn't you? Then all you have to do is go to www.patreon.com/mmoviepod. That address again is www.patreon.com/mmoviepod. And for just $5 a month, you can watch Joe shake his butt for a few seconds. I mean, there's other stuff on there too, like bonus episodes and bonus content and things like that. But I mean, come on. It's Joe shaking his butt for a few seconds. What more do you want? Okay, we now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast, already in progress. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the show. I know I did.
I don't even know if I care because I worked hard. I'm pissed that I lost the fucking He-Man, but I fucking worked hard.
He-Man, come on. So I think that, okay, so I have one more.
Okay.
I have one more thing. And then, actually, so I have one more thing that I've been judged for with my masculinity, but I also feel like this, I don't know if this is accurate. We've been going for about 2 hours here. And I feel like there's so much more that we can discuss. So I would like to continue this conversation, not on this episode, but maybe for a bonus episode, because there's also one more thing that happened in Robot Jocks that I didn't mention, and that was...
There's more?
Well, there's one thing that was toxic that I wanted to talk about, and one aspect of toxic masculinity, and that's how Achilles never spoke of his trauma and just kind of fought his way through it as if nothing happened, and he just ignored it.
Oh, that's gonna be a heavy episode.
Yeah, so we can make that a bonus episode.
Yeah.
But one more thing that I was judged for that was toxic, and we can end it here because I can't really defend this. And you're probably going to think that it's not masculine as well, so you're going to be toxic here too. Okay, this is hard for me to admit. Oh boy. My favorite X-Man is Cyclops.
You're joking, right?
It felt good to get it off my chest. No?
No. You're joking, right? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
I thought you knew he's my favorite too.
Is he really?
Remember, Julie gave me shit for that on Instagram because I made a post.
No way. Are you serious? Yes. Hold on. I gotta find. Oh my gosh. I want to give you the thumbs up to like. No, wait, hold on. I have to. Where is he? He's here with me somewhere. I gotta. Okay, so when this episode ends, I'm going to show you all my Cyclops memorabilia.
Okay.
I get judged for that so hard.
Me too.
I just got to show you pictures. I would show it in this episode, but I don't think I have any right here. I moved him somewhere. All of the hymns that I have. Oh, that's so upsetting. I mean, he's on this. I don't know if you can see that, but he's on.
Yeah. Oh no, I've looked at that every time we do a video. I always stare at that.
I can't believe I forgot here. And you know what? And hold on. And I'm gonna play our what's our ending song here that we should have. Let's do. That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I think that what we stumbled upon here accidentally for our love and respect for the leader of the X-Men and how people don't appreciate how difficult his job is.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have said that he would have voted Republican and he's a Proud Boy. What they don't understand is it's okay if they don't understand. They don't get it and they never will.
No.
Because they don't know Scott like we do.
No, God. No, they don't.
But the whole idea of this whole idea of there's a way to be masculine and there's these roles that you have to fill, they never really made sense to me. It always just seems like more work than it should have been. Even in my days of, I wrestled through middle school all the way through high school, and I never could understand why I never really bonded with my fellow wrestlers the way that they bonded with each other. I always felt like I wasn't quite one of the guys.
Yes.
And they accepted me because I was a good wrestler. Like I was really good, but I didn't feel that camaraderie. And it was because a lot of these kids who are just learning we're growing kids and we're learning how to become adults. They're following all these rules of what it means to be men and be masculine and be tough boys, and I never really followed that. It never made sense to me. It just seems so stressful. Like maybe I want to listen to Third Eye Blind while I'm getting warmed up before this really big tournament.
Semi-Trum Kind of Life played a couple days ago on my Spotify, and I was like, let it play.
Yeah, I love Third Eye Blind. But there were all these rules about what you could and couldn't listen to and what you could and couldn't do. It never made sense to me. And it seems like so much work when really, if you just let all that go and just do what makes you happy, it opens up a whole new world. And I don't know. I just don't understand. I legitimately do not understand the preoccupation with pushing your quote unquote manliness and making sure that you're perceived as the manliest man that you can. And I legit do not understand it. So that's where I am with it. Why did my song stop?
I don't know. I was wondering that.
Oh, there it goes again. It restarted.
Oh, so there's a delay.
Yeah,
in the song. Okay.
There's a lot of empty space at the end, so I'm gonna have to edit that and fix that when we finish here. But yeah, so what are some of your thoughts on masculinity and what it means to be a man?
I mean, we talked about toxic masculinity, and we talked about the hindrances and the problems, without talking about the trauma issue. And there are things I have to say about that, so I can't wait to redo that episode. But I mean, like you said, I think everyone has their own idea. Even if you don't buy into the trappings of masculinity, I'm sure you still have some kind of idea in your head of what being a man kind of means to you. Not like any rules, but just kind of like you have like a thought or two like in your head of just like, this seems like for me, this is what works or what I kind of think of as manly. And I have that too. And it's the same. Living your own life for yourself is so important, and it's a waste of time to try to live it for anyone else, in the sense of putting yourself into someone else's categories for them to make it easier for them to deal with you. Like, no, like, be your own person, enjoy your own life, enjoy the things that you enjoy. If you have certain things that you're just like, well, this seems manly to me, awesome, all the more for it, as long as it's not hurting anybody and is not really like poisoning your own sense of self. You have every right to live your life the way you want to live, because it is your life and no one else's.
I remember a while back I posted something on a guitar forum, and I talked about a concert that I wanted to go to, and there were 3 stages at this concert, and one of the stages I posted on this forum. I was like, if I go to this concert, which stage should I go to? And this was years ago. Mm-hmm. And the headliner on the one stage was Jack Johnson, and I was like, I'm thinking about going to this stage, and someone commented that about Jack Johnson not being manly, and why would I go there? I don't remember what the comment was, but I remember it was something about Jack Johnson not being manly enough. And I was so confused about
what that had to do with music.
What that had to do with music. Yeah. Like, why am I trying to show my masculinity at a concert? Like, is there any moment where you let your guard down and let yourself just enjoy life? So what that kind of said to me was, okay, Jack Johnson is viewed as, apparently he's viewed as not masculine. Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. I don't care. I still like it. Mm-hmm. But even today, I think about how funny it is that I'll turn on something like the UFC, which is considered super masculine, and I watch guys get punched in the face over and over again. And then when that's over, I'll turn it off and I'll pick up my guitar and try to learn a Jack Johnson song, and I'm listening to Banana Pancakes. And it's like, there's no rhyme or reason to any, there's no rules to any of this. There's no idea of men should do this, women do this, and men belong here, women belong here. It's just, it creates these unnecessary boundaries for yourself, and it keeps you from growing. Like, if you want to buy a giant pickup truck because you like pickup trucks, that's fine. If you want to buy a giant pickup truck because that's what men are supposed to do, then that's a problem.
Yes.
You know, if it just, I don't know. It's something that I definitely want us to come back to, because as I'm talking about it, I'm realizing there's a lot more that I want to talk about than I thought I did.
Yeah. Although I want to throw out something interesting I've kind of learned about myself. It's kind of stereotypically manly, I guess, but I found that it's kind of ringing true for me, but I feel in the same way it's the most benign kind of stereotypical manly thing. So someone sent me this video that was a joke about Target husbands. So their wives would drag them to Target, and they would go to Target, and the wives would be shopping, they would be miserable and stuff, or just sit in the car. And eventually you see that 2 of the guys bonded, because the one guy just came over, saw the other guy like looking sad, was like, hey man, you want some jerky? And then all of a sudden they just became a friend and support group, just playing cards and stuff, watching the kids and everything in there. And it was just, you know, that's supposed to be stereotypical manly, but I was just like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's kind of like beautiful. Like, it's just dudes, you know, maybe here's a beer, here's some beef jerky, let's play some cards. Hey man, what's going on with you? Hey dude, what's going on with you? Just like kind of a support group.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you do it, like, it's cool because it's cool, not because it's a man thing to do. It's like, it's like us listening to hip hop. Like, we like rap music because we like rap music, not because we're black and we have to like rap music. We like it because it's good. So if it's just this whole, just like what you like because you like it, and stop trying to fit into some sort of category. Stop trying to categorize yourself and fit into some box that someone else has made because you feel like that's what you have to do. Just be your own person. And it's uncomfortable at first, but it's so liberating when you don't have to follow rules to be a person. And it's just,
Except if you're becoming a dad at an older age, because cargo shorts and just like nice I'm not wearing the one now. I'm actually wearing a New Day hat, which is very bright pink, and I enjoy wearing it, and I don't give a shit. But I usually wear like baseball caps and cargo shorts or something kind of like that. Last Friday, the weather was so nice. I was like, man, you know, it'd be great. Just break out the grill, toss some like tuna steaks and some stuff. And I was just like, why is it a nice day and all of a sudden I'm just like, I just need to grill something. Like I am definitely becoming like that dad. It's just like, hey man, you need some tools? Like I got these tools over here if you need these, or you're just like, hey man, why don't we grill something up today, or you know, things like that. Oh man, I made this amazing recipe at home. Let me tell you what I did with it.
Oh man, are you out there with your phone like on the clip on your belt loop? Just like on the outside?
No, I think
you haven't gotten quite to there yet.
Not quite to there.
Okay.
But just and I will never wear sandals with socks. I first of all, I hate sandals. Any kind of sandals are the devil's work. I wear sneakers to the beach. I don't give a shit. But a lot of the things like. Literally, when I had Sundays off, I was like, man, you know what I want to do on a Sunday? Make myself like a nice cup of tea and put some documentaries on. Just sit back and watch some documentaries. And I'm just like, oh, I am definitely becoming older. And I don't hate it.
Yeah,
but it just overcomes me, which I'm just like, oh, it just happens to you like that.
But again, like, is that manly? Like, is it drinking tea manly?
I don't see it as manly, but I see it as dadly. I see it as dadly. That's what I see it as.
I see, like, so. Yeah, well, I'm a cat dad, but the other night I was sitting there and I was just like, I want to read a book, and I want some tea, but I don't want tea with caffeine because it's too late and I want to sleep. So I'm gonna make myself some herbal tea and I'm gonna read my book. And I'm like, I'm sitting here drinking herbal tea and reading a book. I'm old.
Yeah,
but you know what? This is the most relaxing thing that I have ever, like, this is great, and I don't care.
I make the medicine ball at home.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I just like
it is, and just comfy and cozy. I have a big like hoodie type snuggie type thing. I'll toss it on for my cup and just sit back and watch. I watch YouTube videos, but we're talking about like, oh man, this is the history of gaming, or oh man, let's tear down this console and like refurbish it and get it all nice and clean. And I'm just like, oh man.
I mean, what a great life. Like, I feel like we're supposed to be out, like, I mean, COVID notwithstanding, we're supposed to be out at bars, just pounding beers and yelling about sports and being angry with each other and starting fights, but like, I don't really want to do that. Do you remember when we talked about it before? And I know I'm planning on moving to Canada, but doesn't mean I wouldn't come back to visit just for the sole reason. Do you remember we talked about being the two old black men sitting on the porch just playing guitar? Yes. I still want that. We can still make that happen. I feel like I can get a passport. Yeah, just sitting on the porch, just doing nothing. Yeah. Drinking lemonade out of mason jars and just playing some guitar. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. That's like hashtag black privilege, because the older you get, the cooler you get. Yeah. You just get cooler as you get older. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to stop, because I can't believe we did this. We ended on a positive note. So we ended the show on a positive note. Right. So not toxic masculinity. Yeah, right. I mean, are we toxic? Because like, I don't know. I don't think we're toxically. I don't think we're toxic and masculine. We could have touched on some things that were negative, but we just ignored it and pretended it didn't exist. And we just pretty much outed ourselves to people about who we really are. Yeah. For the most part. I like Cyclops, okay? So sue me. Yeah. What do you want from me? I agree. I'm serious. Check my Instagram. Julie left the thing and she was just like, oh. I can't believe I didn't know that. Maybe if I'd spoken up sooner about my love of Cyclops, then I would have known that I wasn't the only one.
I mean, I'm just saying, Cyclops was right.
I think,
Cyclops was right.
You know what? Maybe during this YouTube video, I'll put pictures of my Cyclops art up so
That would be perfect.
so that people can see it as we talk about Cyclops. But yeah, I will send you a picture of that when we finish here. But in the meantime, I'm going to slowly fade out our ending music. And I do believe that everyone knows what comes next. And turn down your speakers because I'm cranking this all the way up and I don't know how it's going to sound. The slider is all the way up, cranked up to 11. But I do have compression turned on, so it might not be too loud. But let's see. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and here we go.
Misinterpreting all the movies that you've seen. You might not have seen all the movies we're misinterpreting. That's alright, that's okay. You're really smart, and that's fair play. Misinterpreting all the movies that you've seen. You might not have seen all the movies we're misinterpreting. That's alright, that's okay. You're really smart, and that's fair play. Misinterpreting.
Okay, one last thing, and this is for the YouTubers only. So if you're not watching on YouTube, you should. Every episode, I put something different on my little yellow board here for you guys to read. It's supposed to be an Easter egg, and I don't know if anyone's noticed it yet, but this one is the song of the day, which is actually of the week because I'm only going to do this once a week. It's Chez Noir, Hustle, Don't Give. Listen to that song. Listen to this artist and start with this song. This is my favorite rapper out right now. This changes daily. But for today, this is my favorite rapper out right now. She's amazing. I'm not affiliated with her in any way, but I think her music is great. And I just want people to listen to her. And when she gets really big and famous, I can say that, hey, I told you about it. And I can be a real elitist about it. But go listen to her. And thank you for listening to me.
Us. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to us. Goodbye.